No, don't look at me! Oh, don't look at me! Don't look at me! I'll look at you! Ow. Hi.
Hello? Hello, hello? It looks so stupid. For the last few weeks now, I have been really fascinated with Five Nights at Freddy's costumes. I don't know why, I'm just randomly interested in it. I even bought one. So today I want to go through every single official piece of Five Nights at Freddy's costumes that you could buy right now, and I want to make fun of them, because I think it'll be funny. A couple of rules is: one, we will talk about exclusively official Five Nights at Freddy's merchandise, because it is a separate rabbit hole with fake stuff, so that'll be a separate video if I want to do that. And two, we're gonna go by each game, because it's kind of weird which games have costumes and which games don't have costumes, so yeah.
No!
So for Five Nights at Freddy's 1 is probably the game with the most amount of costumes. For some honorable mentions, I want to mention this hoodie. I just really want it and it looks really cool. So now let's move on to regular costumes. It is these costumes right here. Basically, the best way to describe them is that they're onesies with a plastic mask, which kind of looks bad. That's really the best way to describe it. There's one of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, and they look fine. You know, I wish they were more animatronic like. Next we have these costumes, which I think look the best out of all of them. It's actually the one I decided to get. These look really cool. I really like the way these look, but unfortunately it's like half the costume. As you can see, it's about half the costume. It's not the full thing, which kind of sucks, but as a whole I really do like this costume. The mask kind of looks a bit goofy though, I will say that, but as a whole I think it looks fine. We got Foxy, which I think looks kind of goofy, especially since his head is like wide. I mean, all their heads are wide to be fair, but specifically for Foxy, it looks kind of goofy, especially from certain angles as well. Then we got Chica, which also looks really cool, and also there's like adult size and child size, and the adult ones look really good, and the child ones look really bad. Like, look at this. This just looks awful. We got Bonnie, which I think looks really goofy, and now we got the brand new refreshed Five Nights at Freddy's costumes. These are ones that actually I have found at Spirit Halloween. We got these, which I actually think look really solid. I think the mask looks kind of bad, but this looks really nice. It definitely looks like an animatronic. I really like it, but I will say is that the 3-finger gloves look kind of stupid. These, I like these. It's not accurate at all, but I like these. These look kind of bad. We got one of Freddy and we got one of Foxy, which I think Foxy looks slightly better than Freddy. They're improvements over the original ones. Also, I want to mention these costumes that I found on Google once, and I can't find them again for this video. There's also this costume that kind of looks like the hoodie, but worse. And then I found this costume kit for Chica, not for the other animatronics, just Chica. I don't get it. For Five Nights at Freddy's 2, there are 0 costumes, which is kind of weird because of the fact that they have the toy animatronics, and the toy animatronics would work really well as costumes. But also, they could do like the withered animatronics. I think those will look cool as costumes, and I just think it's kind of a missed opportunity for them not to make Five Nights at Freddy's 2 costumes.
Oh, what is that? Okay, that's the thing. That's the thing right there. That's the thing.
For FNaF at Freddy's 3, we got no costumes, unfortunately, which I kind of understand. It'd be kind of hard to do the Phantom costumes, but like, we don't have a Springtrap, really.
Okay, so the first night is never usually that bad in any of the games, so I'll play through.
So for Five Nights at Freddy's 4, it is the second game with the most amount of costumes. There's not as much as the first game, but there's still quite a bit. For honorable mentions, I want to mention this photo, which I think just goes really hard. That's all I want to say about that. So first, we got these full-blown costumes that look like the onesies with the silly mask. We got one for Nightmare Freddy, which I think looks really good. I actually really like the way that mask looks. As a whole, I think this actually is way better than any of the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 costumes, except for the one I'm currently wearing, because this one's like literally a 10 out of 10. We also got one of Bonnie, which the mask also looks really good. I wish there was more worn out details in full-blown onesie, but as a whole, I think it actually looks really solid. We also got one for Chica, which I think the mask looks kind of silly, but as a whole, I think I like it better than Bonnie. And then we got one for Foxy, which the mask looks good, but I think the whole costume doesn't really look as good. But as a whole, it looks fine. I didn't know these existed, but they got the half costumes like this, and they look kind of bad. We got this one here of Nightmare Freddy, and I like the way the actual physical shirt looks. I really like the way that looked. They could have definitely done a withered Freddy. I don't get why they didn't do a withered Freddy, but the mask looks kind of bad. It doesn't look awful. I should mention that. It doesn't look awful, but like, it doesn't look good either. Next, we got Bonnie, and what the fuck fuck is this? This doesn't look good. That's all I'm gonna say. Doesn't look good. The actual physical like shirt looks really, really good, but the mask doesn't. Next we got Chica, which Chica is probably the best one out of all of these. The shirt looks good, and the mask, which isn't perfect, is probably the best one out of all of them, because Foxy, ooh, what the fuck is that mask? That looks really, really stupid. Doesn't look the best. That's all I'm gonna say. Doesn't look the best. Now, since we are halfway through this video, I feel like we should thank today's sponsor, me. This video is sponsored by the Sound of Retreat, a clothing brand created by my friends and I. So our first drop is the Sound of Nature Side A. This is what it looks like. As you can see, that's why I'm sitting on this side. I made this clothing and I'm really proud of it. We got a couple samples and the quality is so good. Like, it is really, really good. I got a couple ideas I'm currently working on right now, including one that's being inspired potentially by an indie horror game. Maybe not. I can't say anything. Anyway, that's all I gotta say for this ad. Thank you so much, me, for sponsoring myself. Back to the video. I'm gonna save some time here. Five Nights at Freddy's 5. No costumes, which is kind of weird because I would totally get a Funtime Freddy's costume. Like, that would look really cool. For Five Nights at Freddy's 6, we got 0 costumes, which I kind of understand, but like, they could have still done some. For Help Wanted, there are no costumes. But also, I quickly want to mention the AR game. I forgot what it was called. Special Delivery. That also has 0 costumes, which I think is weird because it's probably the game with the most amount of different variations of the same characters. Like, they could legit just make an entire costume line just based off of the AR game. There's so much stuff, like Statue of Liberty Chica, Shamrock Freddy, I think that's what it is, Chocolate Freddy, Chocolate Bonnie, Chocolate, you get what I'm saying. I don't get it.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, what's going on? Oh my god!
But now the most recent entry into the Five Nights at Freddy's saga is Security Breach, which is probably the 3rd game with the most amount of costumes. I say it like as if there's any difference. There's only like 2 games with costumes. But this one, I'm kind of surprised with how little we do have as costumes, because this is like the most marketable game out of the entire series. Like, they could legit make costumes out of like everything, but we only really got costumes of the main cast and the villain. But also, I saw this random photo in a Roxanne costume, which shows a Vanessa costume, but I can't find the Vanessa costume. So I know it exists, but I can't find it. Also, I'm kind of lazy, so I'm not going to go look for it any more than I already did. But for costumes, special mention goes to brand Huawei. I don't think I said that right. To Kids Scary Cartoon Clown Cosplay Costumes Anime FNaF Moondrop Cosplay Jumpsuit Halloween Carnival Party Bodysuit. I want to give a special mention because that head is photoshopped onto that person's body. They're not wearing that mask, and I love it. First up, we got our boy Glamrock Freddy, which actually this looks really good. I really like the way this looks. See, the thing with the Security Breach designs is that they look less like animatronics, so I think it works really well for costumes, which is why these actually look really solid. Like, the mask doesn't even look bad either. The mask actually looks pretty good. I really like it. I was actually considering getting this at Spirit Halloween, but I decided not to because this costume, perfect. Also, a little fun fact about this costume. What? I think that's just really cool. I just wanted to mention that. I get easily distracted, I'm sorry. Moving on, we got our boy Montgomery Gator, which is another pretty solid costume. I actually really like the way this one looks. The mask doesn't look as good as Freddy, but as a whole, this costume actually looks really, really good. Next up, we got Chica, which weirdly enough, Chica, you cannot get a Spirit Halloween. I think that's really weird. You get a GameStop though, which I didn't know they sold costumes, but this one's definitely, I would say, the weakest out of all the costumes. I don't think it looks awful. Like, I think it looks pretty good. I just think the face mask doesn't really look the greatest, but as a whole, it doesn't look awful. Next up, we got Roxanne Wolf, which also doesn't look awful. Like, as a whole, I think it looks really good. Like, it doesn't look bad at all. Like, these costumes, none of these costumes look bad. They actually all look pretty good. Lastly, we got Vanny. Vanny, actually, I think is probably the weakest one. It doesn't really look the best, but it doesn't look bad either. I just don't think the mask looks the greatest. But I do think they could have easily done a burn trap. That's all the Five Nights at Freddy's costumes.
Hey guys, today I want to do a FNaF costume ranking by me. I went through all the costumes in this video, so I'm going to do a tier list based off each game and how the costumes are. So for FNaF 1, I'll give a solid A tier. The costumes aren't bad, but like, some of them are kind of odd. Next we got FNaF 4, which I'm giving a solid C tier. The costumes don't look the greatest. The shirt's cool, but the mask is not very cool. Next we got Security Breach, a solid S tier. All the costumes are good. There's only one that's not that good. and that is Vanny the Toother. She wasn't even a good villain in the game, so I don't expect quality from the costume. So here's the tier list. The C tier is Five Nights at Freddy's 4 costume, A tier is Five Nights at Freddy 1 costume, and S tier security breach costume. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like as well as hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.
Look at that.